I am proud to be able to introduce John Ratzenberger to you as our graduation speaker for Penn State Lehigh Valley's 2014 commencement ceremony. If his work uncovering the uniqueness, strengths, and wisdom of the American people are any indication, we are in for a great treat. Ladies and gentlemen, Emmy-nominated actor, entrepreneur, and philanthropist, Mr. John Ratzenberger.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much, Mary. With that introduction, I really don't have to say anything. So I'll just stand here and look at my watch for a while. Chancellor, faculty, students, thank you for inviting me here to be with you today. And also, Lucas, thank you for your service. And are any other veterans or people currently serving in the military here? Let's just shout it out. Because without you doing what you're doing and have done, we couldn't do what we do. And I try to remind my cohorts in Hollywood of that from time to time. So thank you for our freedom. Thank you very much. This is a wonderful, wonderful little town you have here. I did some strolling around yesterday and, spent a lot of money at the bookstore, as my wont. And it's a good thing it wasn't a pizza place. I would have spent more. But I notice you have an Irish store in town. Is there a lot of Irish people in this area? I'm Hungarian Polish, but I grew up in an Irish neighborhood, so I have an affinity for your ilk. It always reminds me of Sigmund Freud's great quote that the Irish are a race of people that have no use for psychotherapy. So I thought, boy, you must be proud of that. So I'll drink to that. There you go. Also, the point you were making with baseball, another quote, which is one of my favorites, Winston Churchill said, success comes from going from failure to failure with enthusiasm. And I always liked, but he's also the same man who said, never stand when you can sit, never sit when you can lie down. So go figure. The man who saved Western civilization. Today I'm here to tell you, or to help you maybe grab some focus on what's ahead. But my message to you, if anything, would be to dance with the one who brought you. That's it. Now the dance is all around us. It was when we woke up this morning, well, most of us, and there's a couple of guys in the fifth row there who are still sleeping. But when we woke up this morning, what do? We turned off the alarm or turned on the music or TV and made some breakfast, and the water came through the faucet and the electricity pulsed down the lines, and we turned on all our lights and gadgets. And none of that happened by mistake. That all happened by design. It's called Western civilization. Wasn't that long ago where people didn't have all these conveniences. But Western civilization was designed on a blueprint called the Judeo-Christian work ethic. It's really simple. You get up in the morning, put your hand to something useful, be responsible for yourself and your family. And that's it. Nothing more complicated than that. That's what brought us to the dance. So when I say dance with the one who brought you, all I'm doing is asking you to keep the high standard that we've enjoyed all these years. I was at the Woodstock Festival. I helped build the stage, and I'm afraid we may have messed up that high standard a little bit. And I want to apologize, because the standard was here. There was a time when you went out on a date that you got dressed up. Nice little sport coat, little shirt, tie maybe. Not anymore. Everybody looks like they're farmhands. Thanks to me and my cohorts at the Woodstock Festival. If I had known, because I helped build the stage, like I said, I would have rigged the stage to collapse or something. Because what came out of that festival, every time I read the paper today, I think, oh boy, we should have just, done something else, gone fishing that weekend or something. But the song that always occurs to me about the essence of what happened then was Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. Everybody familiar with that song? Everybody likes that song? All right. The lyrics are, picture yourself in a boat down the river with tangerine trees and marmalade skies. And even back then, as I'm building a stage or driving the tractor around Woodstock, I thought, yeah, tangerine trees, marmalade skies. Picture yourself in a boat down the... Who built the boat? That's the key element in that image, isn't it? So for you to be cool and do drugs, float down the river, someone first had to have the skills and the work ethic to build you a boat. And that is the important part of the equation. And that's where the high standard comes in. Because if we lose people that can build boats, you ain't floating down no river. You're going to be swimming. And you're doing drugs, you're not going to be swimming very far, that's for sure. But also, in Woodstock, we came up with this notion of entitlement. Like there was a poem, it was called Desiderata, and it was go placidly among the noise and the haste. Anybody familiar with this? And remember what piece you have a right to be here no less than the trees and the stars. That's bull. You got a right to breathe. That's about it. You're not entitled to anything. It's like when Little League, when I actually had the advantage, because when I went out for Little League back in 1854 or whenever it was, and if you stunk, the coach would look at you and go, oh, you stink. Go on, get out of here. And as cruel as it may sound, it gave us, at 8, 9 years old, the advantage of having to face an emotional crisis and get through it at a young age. We didn't have to wait till we were 30. We were handling it when we were this big. Oh, but also was a time where, they let us go outside and play, without the parents hovering around and scheduling everything for us. But it was a different time. But now, as I understand it, in Little League, you just show up, you immediately get a uniform, you immediately get a trophy, if you come in 11th place. And I always think it's really the parents that are fooling themselves, because the kids know they came in 11th. They know they didn't win. Oh, everybody's a winner, Billy. No, they're not, Mom. Please. No, they're not. You have to earn it. You have to earn your place, on that pedestal, or that self-esteem, that notion of self-esteem. As a matter of fact, a CEO just outside of Chicago told me that he had hired someone sort of fresh from college. Somebody had graduated a year or two before, and gave him a job in the headquarters, a little cubicle and a computer, and set him to work. And after 3 days, he fired him. He had to get rid of him. I said, what'd you fire him for? He says, well, he wouldn't work with anyone else. He thought he knew it all. He wanted the big office with the window in the corner. And he just was marching to his own tune. So I had to fire him. And then the guy told me, he said, on the 4th day, the kid came back with his mother. And the mother says to the CEO of this very large company, you have to apologize to my son because you hurt his self-esteem. Yeah. Security. But that's all across the country. I know of universities that actually have to set up offices of parent relations, and that's basically to field the calls that the president of the university gets from a parent saying that his or her daughter, her son, said that there's too much mayonnaise in the tuna salad in the cafeteria. Things like that. And so luckily I escaped all that. I don't even think my parents knew I went to college. That's how much freedom I had. You know, I remember my sophomore year. Where'd you get the books? Oh, I'm in college. Yeah, good luck. Had no idea. Had no idea. But just after my senior year of high school, somewhere in there, I was a pretty good carpenter. When I was 14, I said, I want to learn how to build a house and everything in it. So I did. I just set upon, building things and climbing trees and building tree houses and just getting handy. And I grew up near the water too, so actually I was right across the street from an old boatyard. So there's people working on boats all the time, and so I was able to help them and figure I knew what I was doing. So what happened was I went up to a building site, and I was probably about 17 years old, 18 years old, looking for work, always looking for work. And I go up to the head carpenter, this big Italian guy, northern Italian, Ito Teo Perini was his name. And he looks down at me, and he says, what do you want? I said, well, you could probably use another carpenter. I could help you guys out, get the job done faster. So he laughed at me. He says, oh, you think you're a carpenter, huh? So, oh, yeah, sure, I got tools right here. Look, what else do you need? He says, all right, carpenter, you come with me. So, all right. So going back, and this was like, oh, boy, it was still, I don't know, February. And it's in New England, by the way, so it was a little chilly. And there's a big stack of 2x12s over here in the back. And 2x12s, it's 2 inches wide, 12 inches wide, 2 inches thick. Yeah, anywhere from 8 to 10 to 12 feet long. But a stack of them. I mean, a stack of them. And so he says, all right, carpenter, he says, you take these, put to there. It's all right. I figured, why not? I need the money. It's probably just something for me to do for a couple of days, so he can see that I show up on time. So here it is, February, and I'm lugging these 2x12s, maybe 100 feet over there, stacking them, restacking them, stacking them, restacking them. And now 2 days turns into a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, because every time a new delivery came, he'd have them drop it over here. I kept thinking, what did I just have? Well, it's not my place. And then I realized, oh, okay. All right, this guy, he wants to see what I'm made of. He wants to see, my work ethic. He wants to see who I am, basically. And so I kept moving the wood. Honestly, it probably took a little bit more than a month. Every day, in the cold, freezing weather, and now towards the end of February, it starts turning to mud. I'm taking a piece one by one and putting it over in the corner. Then he comes out. I tell him, okay, I guess all done. What else do you want me to do? He goes, nah, it's better over there. You'll move. What? So I did. So I took every piece and moved it over. It didn't take quite a month, but because I had got some shortcuts and I learned some things. How to do 2 at a time instead of 1 at a time. And, if it was icy, I could always slide them across. Didn't make any difference. So finally he said, all right, carpenter. I don't even think he knew my name. So he's all right, carpenter. He says, how come I show you how to hold a hammer? And I thought, I know how to hold a hammer. I mean, who doesn't know how to hold a hammer? Well, I didn't know how to hold a hammer. He showed me how to hold a hammer properly, so my hand doesn't get tired, my arm doesn't get tired, so my aim was true and straight, to the point where you can hit a 10-penny nail 3 times and it's in. Bum, 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 bum. And you get into a rhythm. And it's a beautiful rhythm you get into. And I thought, great, look at this. I'm now inside this. We're building an apartment building. I said, no, I'm inside. I'm with the other carpenters and quite a crew. 3 French Canadians who are fearless, by the way. I don't know what they drink up there. But these guys were walking a scaffolding 3-4 stories up with nail kegs on their shoulders, bouncing along, whistling, and a scaffolding this wide. And they weren't showing off. It was just who they were. Well, I would do the same thing. I'm on my hands and knees holding on to it, shifting myself along. And there was some other Italian. There was a brother of E.T. Teo Perini who could saw upside down. He always held his saw upside down, and he could do it faster and straighter and truer than any of us. And I thought, great, I'm a carpenter. And then I realized, no, I'm not, because nobody's talking to me. And I go up to him at lunchtime and, hey guys, how you doing? They look at me, everybody get up, walk in the other room. Oh, okay, So I thought maybe another couple of days. Well, that went on a long time. That went on most of the summer. Nobody said a word to me. But I needed the money, so I showed up every single day, drove nails, lugged cement bags, did what I had to do. And finally one day, I was up on the rafters, up on the roof, and they were handing these big sheets of plywood up from the ground, sort of in a bucket brigade style. Fell on the ground and handed this, 4 feet wide, 8 feet long, 1/2 inch or 3/4 inch thick, usually 1/2 inch. They handed it to the guy in the scaffold, the first floor. He'd hand it up the second floor, on and on. I'm on the roof, straddling these rafters on the edge of the building, taking the plywood and handing it down to the guy who's on the 3rd floor below me. And he's stacking them so that we can then sheathe the whole roof eventually. So we're doing that. And I remember it was a very windy day. I remember thinking, boy, if the wind catches this sheet of plywood just right, I become Mary Poppins with a tool belt. I'll be zipping over neighborhood yards singing, Chim Chimney. And oh my God, help me. So it was very tense being up there, but again, I couldn't say no. This is my job. I asked for this job. So just when I was holding a sheet of plywood and trying to shield it, get the edge into the wind so it didn't grab the plywood out of my hand, I hear some commotion. I look down and I go to hand the sheet of plywood down to the guy on the 3rd floor, and he's not there. But Corky and Dana, 2 of the French Canadian carpenters, were there on step ladders, nailing my shoes into the rafters. I had these combat boots, jungle boots, Vietnam jungle boots on, and they also doubled, triple knotted the laces, and then put glue on them and nailed the edges of my boots into the rafters. Now these guys, they could hammer as fast as a machine can today. These guys knew what they were doing. So then after that, they got off the ladder and everybody went to lunch. And here I am on a hot day in the middle of summer on these rafters, stories up. And luckily I had a Stanley knife in my tool belt, so I was able to cut the laces, got my boots off, and I spent the rest of that lunchtime prying my boots out of the rafters. To this day, it's one of the happiest days of my life, because on that day, I knew that I was accepted by professional carpenters, and it meant that I was one of them. So, if I had shown up on the first day, imagine saying, all right, here's my job, here's what I'm going to do. You've got to prove yourself. We all know that. And once again, because I was at Woodstock, I apologize for these entitlements that we falsely foisted upon the rest of you. It's amazing, that's the standard, again, this Judeo-Christian ethic, and the standard that, again, with these carpenters, I had to meet their standard before they even paid attention to me. I had to reach that. And that's why I've been so fortunate to work with, the people at Cheers. Again, the standard is very high, especially in the writing. The people at Pixar, hand me the pig. Standard is very high. They work on the current film as hard as they worked on their very first one. And I've been working with them 18 years now. But you gotta keep the standard high. You're not gonna slide through, otherwise you're not gonna feel good about yourself. You've got to perform. You've got to show up ready to work. And listen to what the old guy is saying. He's been doing it a long time. And I was lucky too, because I had the carpentry skills, so between those acting jobs, I knew I could always get a job. So listen, I know you guys have got a bunch of cold cuts to eat. And it's because that's when I graduated. That's all I could think of. So should I have salami or bologna today? But anyway, listen. If I can leave you with anything, it's just that. Focus on your dreams, work hard, and if you're very, very lucky, someday, somewhere, someone will nail your boots to the roof. God bless you all. Thank you.